Hey, welcome everybody. All right, just a little Saturday morning running through the scales practice. Thought you might want to join in. I also want to explain a follow-up to some videos I've been posting about triads. And so, as you know, I'm all about beginner stuff and first-year stuff. But I do touch base on more advanced things, and I try to put like an easy spin on it. I mean, you know, the biggest thing when I was learning was everything was just so complicated, or it just seemed so overwhelming all the time. Like there was always these weird things that just, I don't know, they just seemed harder than they were. And then when I got into them, oh, hello, I'm at beginner's guitar playing, and kind of up to the first year, I go over different things. We talk about stuff, we do some demonstrations. So if you're in the first year or so and looking for, you know, you're not going to be a professional, you just want to play guitar, try to get you there as fast as possible. If you go through my channel, my library, there's over 400 videos. A lot of them are aimed at beginners and just getting you playing songs right away. Because remember, when you play the guitar, not everybody wants to be a professional. We just want to have fun and play songs. And if that's the case, trust me, you don't need all this fancy stuff that you see out there. You don't need bar chords and triads and multiple versions of scales and different positions and power chords and, oh, stop already. You don't need it, okay? You just gotta start with 3 chords, or 2, or 4, 3 chords from the same key. And you use those to work on your guitar foundation. That's your left hand, right hand, your ear, and your brain. So every day you're strumming, you're transitioning your chords from one to another, and you're getting a little better and a little better and a little smoother and a little smoother, and it takes a long time. Learning and playing a guitar is not easy. Once you develop the motor skills, left hand, right hand, ear, and brain, just like a juggler, right? Once you develop those skills, it's easy, okay? I sound like AI? I don't know, what is AI? AI. Well, what are you gonna do? Hey, FA, go find somebody else to watch and harass, okay? Because it ain't going to be here.
Hi, I'm Tommy Emmanuel. Welcome.
Yeah, okay there, you little punk.
Milestone.
Piss off.
So in my travels, I meet people of all levels who play guitar.
Bye-bye, Elfie.
People who've already been
Effie.
playing for a long time. I meet some players that are good, some players that are just starting out. At whatever level you're at, this course is going to be the one that will help you.
All right, so
in fingerstyle.
basically,
Learning fingerstyle.
we've been talking about triads, right? Okay. Oh, the guy was just a kid, like dicking around. I'm so over kids, you know what I mean? Like they're just so immature. It's just unbelievable. But anyways, there's nothing you can do about it. Though there will be, because in the fall, I'm going to subscriber-only chat and live lessons. So basically, it'll weed out all the morons and idiots. But anyways, that's down the road. So look, we're talking about triads, and I'm going to go through, for people that aren't there yet or just starting out, okay? I'm going to go through the basic explanation of, you know, what a triad is and why and if we need to play them. Well, first of all, no, you don't need to play triads. But, moving forward, you're going to find that learning some triads, a couple of triads, can replace, especially for older people or people with issues, definitely can replace the need to play difficult bar chords, such as the B major bar chord, which a lot of people have problems with, the F, bar chord that a lot of people have problems with, the C bar chord that a lot of people have problems with, the B minor that a lot of people have problems with. So we can use, hey, Christopher, how are you, buddy? Yeah, all good. Been a weird summer. It's been a weird summer, and you know, we're just started getting back for the fall and starting to get some you know, live lessons and start to work on some long videos for the channel, and oh yeah, great. Oh yeah, nice, Catherine. Good. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the whole idea. The more of the fretboard that you know, and it's going to take time, as you're well aware. The more of the fretboard that you know, the easier things become. You know, people say about, you know, learning the guitar, and everybody seems to be searching for that one link you download, or that one course you buy, or that one book you get, or, you know, the one tip that someone like me might pass on, and that's going to unlock everything for you. Well, unfortunately, that's not the truth. Then that's not the case. Okay, you know, I, I I think the best thing to understand is you are the person that's going to determine whether or not you learn how to play the guitar. It's difficult. It's much like anything else that's highly skilled, like being a juggler, throwing darts, playing pool or snooker, or certain types of arts, crafts, electronics, you know, mechanics. These things take knowledge and experience. And the same with guitar. Now, we can go, as really what my channel is about, is we can go a long way without knowing any of this stuff. No bar chords, no power chords, no scales, no triads, nothing, okay? We could just play open chords. And all we need to be able to do that from day one, and that's what I preach from day one, is we learn a few chords from the same key, and we work on our left hand and our right hand. And we have to constantly strum. We have to develop a touch with our pick. We have to get our chord changes to be crisp and smooth. And once we're there, and we can play a full repertoire, but right now we start at 3 chords in the same key, because that's how songs are written, so using chords from the same key. But we can, if we expand as we expand our chord repertoire, and we're able to play all of our open chords at some point, we can play them. Now we can play any song out there. Now there's going to be just a few songs here and there that we'll have to rely on either a bar chord here and there, or we'd have to rely on a capo, which I don't have my capo right now. Here we go. Or we rely on a capo, okay? But either way, for the average stay-at-home, hobby, experimental, curious guitar player, open chords and a capo will get you everywhere you want to go in all genres, okay, with a few minor exceptions. And then what you're going to find as you get a little better, and as you start getting your strumming and your chords are playing good, you're going to realize when you want to learn songs, you're going to Google them, and you're going to realize that there's a certain chord that keeps showing up in certain songs that you want to play, and that's the B minor. So there's something we can do, like we can play an A minor with a capo on 2, right? And that gives us a B minor. So, for example, if we're playing a song like this, like and it has a B minor in it, right? We can do this. We can put a capo on 2. Right? And then we can play the chords beneath the chords that we just played. So we started on a D, so this time we're going to start on a C. So C with a capo on 2 is a D. The next chord was an A, right? So we're going to play a G. Then an A minor becomes a B minor. And then our G, or F becomes our G. So let's run that through without a capo, just so you get it, right? So we got D, A, okay? Now we're going to put the capo on and play those other chords. Sounds the same, because we're essentially playing the same chords. We're just playing them differently. Okay, so that's how we can get around at first, not worrying about chords like B minor and things like that. But eventually, you're going to want to learn either to play the chord, like I did, or find a substitute, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today, how we can use triads to avoid playing certain chords, like F and B. Those are two huge ones that come up all the time in songs, and we can't play them. The B is very challenging, and I've been playing quite a while, and I still avoid it whenever I can. I play it this way with 2 fingers covering those 3 strings, but I'm going to show you a triad, right? Before we go on the triad breakdown and explanation. Instead of playing this B bar chord here, remember all this is these 3 strings of the A, whether you play it this way or this way, and if we move them up 2 frets, we have a B, right? Because anything moved up 2. If I'm playing a G note and I go up 2 frets, I'm playing an A note. That's it, okay? So if I have an A chord and I move up 2 and only play the strings that I'm fretting. I can't play this or this anymore, or this. I can't play that. I only play the 3 strings that I'm fretting. We have a B major triad. So we can play this instead of the B bar chord. Okay? Right? Hi, Ahmed. How are you? All right. My messages don't scroll, so every now and then I got to stop and see what we got here for messages. But anyways, so that's what we're going to talk about now is triads. Now remember, triads are just a 3-note chord. But aren't all chords 3 notes? Yes, they are. The only difference is when we play open chords, we play open strings. That's why they're called open chords. But those open strings that we play in the chord are going to be one of the 3 notes that are in the triad. So let me explain it on a G chord, okay? So we have a G chord, and when we play a G, we play all 6 strings, right? So beautiful, it's nice, it's pretty much everybody's favorite chord to play because it sounds so full and nice. But let's take a look at what we're actually playing, right? So we're playing G, there's your root note, G, okay? And then we're playing a B right here, and then we're playing an open D right here, right? G, B, and D. Now, a G major triad, triads are made from the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. So in G, the 1st note of the scale would be G. The 2nd note is A. The 3rd note is B. The 4th note is C, and so on, right? So in order to make a G chord, we need the 1st note, G. We don't need the 2nd note, A. We need the 3rd note, B. We don't need the C, and we need the D, okay? So we have G, B, and D. Those are the only notes in a G major chord. But then you're sort of saying, well, I play all 6 strings. Like there's other notes in that chord, but there isn't, because those open chords that you're playing, the D, the G, and the B, are D, G, B. So if you look at all 6 strings, we're playing G, B, D, G, B, G. That's it. So a triad, we just take those 3 notes that this is supposed to be, which it is. It's 3, but we're playing 2 Gs or 3 Gs and 2 Ds and 2 Bs or whatever. So what we're doing with a triad is we're playing only one of those notes. That's it, G, B, and D. So now, of course, that's going to change things. Now, what we could do, if you play your G this way, right, and you know that that's a G, a B, and a D, well, there's your triad. If you just play those 3 strings, you've got a nice low G triad. And then if you want to play it as a high triad, right, you play it here. Okay, so we're gonna play it right here. And we're going to bar these first 2 strings and then use our big finger to hit that 3 string down and play only those 3. That's a G triad. Now, where does this come from? It comes from the bar chord. Everything comes from the bar chord shape. So there's G. If we remove this bar alone, okay, we have these 3 notes fretted. What are those 3 notes? D, G, and B. There's a triad. So if we play a G bar chord and just remove the bar, do nothing else, and we just play those 3 notes right there, only those 3. That's so important. We can't play this, because remember, when we play a bar chord, this is a G because my finger is on the G. When I don't have a bar there, this is an E, and there's no E in the G. We're looking for G's, B's, and D's. That's it. Okay, so that's why we can't play that open string. So the next string is fretted, fretted, and fretted. And that's our triad, and that's all we play. So that's a G triad. If we move that up too, we got an A, B, C, D, and so on. Okay? So each triad or triads are formed over a set of 3 strings. 1, 2, and 3 right here. Then over those 3 strings, there are 3 shapes for major triads and 3 shapes to play minor triads. Okay? So we posted the 3 shapes in a video of the major triad. Now, each shape is movable up and down. Each shape, there's 1 shape per triad. So in other words, there are inversions and root triads. So when you play a G, a B, and a D in that order, with the G being the lowest note, closest to your face, closest to the upper part of the guitar, you're playing a root triad. So an example of a root triad would be something like this. Notice how I got my G right here, okay, is fretted, and it's the lowest note because this note right here is the D, and that's higher. That's higher. That's my B. And my G is the closest note to me. So this is a natural root-based triad. So this is a high-pitched triad. G, F, E, and where I am is determined by that finger. Okay? D, C, and so on. So there's the first shape to play a major triad using those 3 strings. Okay? So it's the back 2 fingers, skip a fret, Hi, Damascus, how are you? I can't do covers because it'll blow the copyright on this and I'll have to take the video down. Sometimes I do come on and play covers, but I don't keep the video, so I just break all the copyrights. Everybody puts in their claim and I just delete the video. But I like to keep this video up, so that's why I'm not I'll play little snippets of things maybe as an example, but I can't play too much because they'll tag this as copyright thing. So there's your first shape. Your second major shape along those strings is one that you all know. It's so easy. It's a D major. So there's your D. We're just going to slide that up. Now it's an E. But when we play a D major here, we play that open D string right here. That's the root. It's not, yes, it's related because the cage system is a way of playing, like, for example, a C shape all the way up the neck. So it's the same idea, okay? But the cage system uses a series of, like, you're going to be playing bar chords and triads, sort of a combination up the neck. This is strictly triad playing, okay? Hi from Sweden, how are you? Hi from, well, Toronto area, how's that? Oh, you're from India, cool, all right. So the second is that D shape. Now, for example, when we move it D, E, F, let's look at the G, for example. So we have this D-shaped playing right here, and only those three strings, first three strings. What notes are we fretting? Well, we're fretting a D, we're fretting a B, and we're fretting a G. There you go. Now, it's not GBD. You notice that? It's the closest root to me, the closest note to me is the D. So this makes this what we call an inverted triad. So the first shape I showed you, we got the note from the ring finger because it's the closest note to the top of the guitar, to this part of the guitar. So that's a natural triad. So whatever note that finger's on, that's the triad we're playing. In this position, we're playing an inverted because the root note is not this finger, which is the closest. It's actually the ring finger here, the middle. So this is called an inverted triad. And again, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and back to the D, if your guitar allows you to go that high. But remember, we can only play the strings that we're fretting. We can't do that. So if we want to play a G, we can't do this. It's defeating the purpose because what we're now doing is we're playing an E, an A, and even though the D is good, there's a GBD, right? There's a D and a G. So we could play that string. We could. You're not supposed to, but we could, right? All we're doing is we're playing a second D. We're playing a D open here, and we're playing a D right here. So it's just going to make it a little fatter. But the rule is you're really supposed to only play the three strings that you get your fingers on. So, okay? So there's your G. So now you can play D, G, C. Okay? Using all one shape. Now, you wouldn't normally do that unless you're looking for like a funky texture to a song or something you're writing. You'd normally play everything in the same area, right? But just for the purpose of showing you the shapes. So now we have the first shape, which is our root position, right? We have our G, F, E, D, C, right? And so on. Okay? Now we have our D as our second, which is our inversion. So songs like Neil Young does this a lot. He'll start here. Something like that, right? So it's a great little thing to have as an intro as well, you know? So if you're playing a song that's in, say, G, C, D, you could start here on the G. Right? right, now you can play your C, G, D down here, but as an opening sort of thing, you play it with the triads, and it sounds pretty cool. I wrote a song like that, and I used this. I used as in GD as an opener. Now this G, and to this D, and I start singing. Wish I was young again. Mom's embrace, feeling daddy's place, kind of, right? So, but I use that little funky intro. Again, it works down the neck because as you move along, right, you'll find as you move, you're playing the 3 notes of that chord. So here you're playing the 3 notes of a D major, the 3 notes of an E major, the 3 notes of an F major, and so on, G and A. So essentially this A here would be the same as this A here, only playing those 3 notes. It just has a different octave. It's going to be higher because the strings are thinner and we're playing it up. All right, so let's look at the third major shape on those 3 strings, and that is this one right here. We're going to take our finger and we're going to bar the first 2 strings, and we're going to take our fat finger and move it up to string 3. Now this is a toughie for me to play. It takes a while because what you'll find happens is these 2, okay, you can bar them, but then you got to get your hand in a position to curl this finger over so you don't touch. See, the bottom of this little sack here on your back of your finger tends to touch the B or the E string. And if it does that, then it wipes out these 2 strings. You don't get a clear ring out. So this is the way it's supposed to sound. Now remember, we're only playing these 3 strings. There's a G. So you're going to have to jiggle this finger around. You're going to have to find a way. Some people sort of bend their angle that bar like that and play it this way. That's kind of probably the easiest way to keep this finger out of the way. But you're going to have to play with that. And once you get it, there's your A. You can move this shape up. F, G, A, B, C, D. E is hard for me to play because, again, this finger gets in the way, and the frets are smaller and all that kind of stuff. But that's a triad, okay? Now, again, yes, John McBride, I have the perfect solution for you coming up next. So there we have, in fact, I just played one, to be honest. Like there's, although you wouldn't want to use this one because you're probably looking at playing your B here, okay, your B bar chord. So you'd want a B that fits that octave. I'm going to show you one. But this is a B here. So here's your G, A, there's your B. Right here. It's a toughie because, as I said, you got to get this finger over. Some people use this finger because it's thinner and it doesn't touch the other strings. I'll leave that up to you, but there's a B. Now, where does this shape come from? Let's look at G. There's a triad shape, right? And if we analyze the notes, what are we playing? G, C, B. So this is another inverted triad. This is a second inversion. So in this, with this triad, where we are determined by the first string. So whatever I'm fretting is what we're playing. So here I'm playing a G, we're playing a G. Here I'm playing a B, so this is a B triad. Okay? Now, let's take a look at it compared again to a bar chord. So there's a bar chord, G. Okay? Now we already know that we can take our finger off and just play these 3 fretted strings. And we're playing a G, B, D triad. And because G is not this note right here, which is the closest to me, it's an inverted G triad, okay? So we're playing that. Now, remember, there's the overall shape. We're just taking that off. Now, if we go one step further and we just take this G, we forget this G up here, the bassy G. We're eliminating that. And we're going to put our finger on this G, okay? So if we do that and take the next note as well, that's a G, okay? If we go like this, so now what we're playing is, here's the G, right? G, D, B, G. Those are the only notes we're playing. So we'll simplify it one more, and we'll forget this bar, and we'll just play the D. So I'm playing 3 notes, 3 strings, strings 2, 3, and 4, frets 3, 4, and 5. 3 notes, 3 fingers, 3 frets, 3 strings. That's a G. And we only play that. Okay? That's a G triad. And that's movable. A triad. B triad. A triad. How does it relate to the bar chord in A? Let's put the bar up, and look, 2 of the 3 notes. We just got to put our pinky in there. There's the bar chord. Take that away, you got an A. Play it this way, you got an A. So it's really, we're just playing sections of the bar chord shape. Okay? All right. So before I answer the B major question or the B bar chord question, let's just quickly recap. Shape 1, the root triad. We got to get the G in there, right? There's our G. Sorry, right there. Move it down. Shape number 2, the D major shape, as we normally play it, but only play the 3 strings, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Remember, after the double dots, everything starts the same. So this D is exactly, we just slide it back and forth, right? So there's the second shape, and the third shape is bar the first 2 and bring that finger up on the 3rd string. Move it along. Okay? Those are 3 major triad shapes on the first 3 strings. Now, as you move forward in your journey, each string set, so that was 1, 2, and 3. Now we got to go to look at 2, 3, and 4, and 3, 4, and 5, and each one has 6 more shapes, 3 major and 3 minor. So at the end of the day, you got to learn 24 different shapes. But once you do, those are all movable, and you're locked in. You can play any chord in any song, any genre, anything going on. And that brings us to the B major tip, okay? So I used to play my B major this way. Still do when I actually have to. Oh, sorry, Andreas, I didn't see your question. No, I did not. I have not heard the artist Jay Smith. Hi, John. Hi, Arneil. Or Armiel. So basically, we have the 3 shapes, and now we're going to use a triad shape to replace that B bar chord. Now here's the easiest ones. Damascus, I'll get to that in a second. Here's the easiest way to replace that B bar chord. Remember, we're talking triads, right? And we're also talking guitar theory, where if you have a note here and you move it up 2 frets, it becomes the next highest key. So A becomes a B, 2 frets up. G becomes an A, 2 frets up. So an A chord, chords work the same as notes. If we have an A chord, A major, now you might play it like this, that's okay. I play mine like this. If I move this up 2 frets, and only play those 3 strings that I'm fretting, I have a B triad. So now, let's say you have, you're playing 12-bar blues in E. Now we need a B. There it is. So we just took the A and we slid it down. Now it looks so easy, but it takes a little bit of finesse because remember, you can only play the 3 strings that you're fretting. That's the whole thing with triads, right? We can't play this and we can't play this. I mean, in this case, we want to be as strict as possible and only play those 3, because if we play something else, what could happen is see, we got a little thing at the end there. What is that little thing? Well, if I'm not fretting it properly, that little thing, right, can become a G sharp. If I've got my finger down there and I play all the way through, I'm actually playing a G sharp, and there's no G sharp in a B chord. There's B, right? D sharp, not D flat. So we're off right away. We have to only play those 3 notes that we're fretting coming off that A. So there's your A, B, A. That's what I use to replace the B bar chord. Now, as far as B minor goes, there's a shape on the first 3 strings. That's B minor. So if we take our A minor, right? So we play an A minor like this. If we remove this finger, we generally call that like some sort of like an A minor 7, right? Sometimes we put the pinky down. That's kind of like an A minor 7, right? So if we, instead of playing it this way, if we play it with this finger, 1, 2. So we got these 2 strings right here. Okay, so there's a sort of there is an A minor triad. So we're playing the open E, the C note, which is fretted at the B string, and we're playing the A. A, C, E. Those are the 3 notes in an A minor. In this case, an A minor triad, right? Okay. So there's your A minor. Now, if we simply slide up 2 and add our vacant finger, because there was no frets to put this on, I'd be fretting it back here. There's the shape, but I can't fret because nothing's going to ring out beyond the nut, right? So there's the shape. I slide this up 2. If this was an A minor, what's this? It's a B minor. So there's your B minor without playing a bar chord. How does it stack up with a regular B minor? Well, there's the regular B minor right there. There's my B minor here. Sounds pretty close, right? You can also manipulate the sound of any chord by playing certain strings. So in other words, this is the full B minor. Now, if I play from this B, and I concentrate on hitting these strings here and not these strings down here, okay, I'm going to get a lower kind of B minor. Or I could go here and get that ting on the end. So I can manipulate the overall voicing of any chord, right? And people do that. There's a lot of people playing their bar chords, and they just have a hard time getting this note here. That's the fleshy part of the bar, has to bar, and it's hard. So you get these, right? It's not ringing out the way it's supposed to ring out, like that, okay? And it's not. It's ringing out like that. It's not ringing out. So a lot of people just avoid it and just don't play that last string. You'll never know. I mean, you really just don't know, okay? So there's a G. There's a G if I really concentrate and get that bottom G in there, right? That high end G, the 3rd fret, 1st string G. But it's hard because we're trying to, it's not like we're fretting with our fingertips where we have full control. We're fretting with the fatty part of our underfinger. So anyways, what we're looking at here is all these triads are just derivatives. So there's the B minor again. If we just put the bar up, okay, and I'm just bringing my pinky in, right? But then essentially the notes are the same. So the notes I'm fretting in this triad are F sharp, right? They are A sharp or B flat. And here, the note is a B. I'm sorry, a D. So we have F sharp, D, and B flat. B, sorry. F sharp, D, and B. Okay? So that's your B minor triad right there. So if we turn this into a bar chord, all we're doing is we're adding this B right here. Remember, there's only 3 notes in a triad. So we're adding this B, okay? We're keeping this F sharp because we're fretting it with the fat part of our underside of our finger, okay? Then we're playing this note right here, which is your D. And then we're playing with these two, we are playing F sharp again. So there's an F sharp and an F sharp. And we're playing a B and a B. So we're playing 2 Bs, 2 F sharps, and this one right here is my B flat or A sharp. So again, that's all we're playing. We're just only playing the 3 notes when we play it this way. Here, we're doubling up some of the notes, so it's a thicker, fuller chord, because a bar chord is all the chords, all the strings are doing something in a bar chord, right? But remember, the bar in a bar chord, you don't have to, they say, you know, press all 6 strings, but you really don't have to, and here's why, right? Because once these notes are fretted with these fingers, nothing plays back here. So, for example, there's no tone. Just like here, there's no tone behind the nut, okay? So when you put a bar down, these notes here aren't doing anything. You're doing no good because they're being taken where the fingers are there first. Those are the notes, right? Behind here, nothing. So the bar is useless. So the only reason you're barring here is you're taking the lowest bass note, right? The bass root note. That's all you're doing. So in this case, what are we playing? We're playing an A, okay? So the bar is getting that A note. That's it. Because the second string, or the 5th string, the second from the top, is behind this finger. So it's not ringing out anyways. No note. So we don't need to worry about the bar. We're just worried about, so a lot of people play their bar like this. You see how it's arced? So they find it easier to bar this first string with the flesh, bend it over, and get the root, and leave these strings exposed. Right? I'm not left-handed. It's this stupid phone or the app or it's something. All my videos have been, not videos, but lives have been getting turned around. And I don't know why. My camera is not on mirrorless or on mirrored or whatever. I don't know what it is. Anyways, so. All right, so remember, that's the ultimate goal of the bar, is just to take this note and this note here. That's it. And sometimes that second string as well, but we get them with the flesh. That's it. So if we remove the bar and we take the note here instead of here, the A here instead of here, okay? It's still an A. We're still playing the right chord. It's just going to give it a higher voicing because we don't have this deep A. We're relying on this A, right? Now, the other thing we can do is we can get this bass A with our thumb. Yeah, right here. I find it uncomfortable. Now let's take a look at this. This part of the chord is exactly the same as the bar. All we're doing is we're using this finger and this thumb to capture this root and maybe the second string and this bass root. So when you see people like this, they're actually playing this. Okay? It's just a preference thing. I personally don't like the wraparound thumb. That's just me. And again, guitar is like that. Everybody plays and does things different, hoping to get the same end result, right? So, again, remember we used the GBD triad example in that even though we're playing all 6 strings, we're really only playing 3 notes. G, B, and D. That's it. And then they're repeating as we strum down. G, B's, and D's. Try it out for yourself. You'll see. So the same thing on a bar chord. So some people say, oh, well, bar chords, I play them because there's more notes in them. No, there's not more notes in them. There's G, there's B, and there's D, right? So check this out. Yeah, you can. Michael, you're absolutely right. It's a technique that you got to develop a little bit because I find it a little uncomfortable with the thumb over like that, to be honest. It changes the angle of my wrist, but you're absolutely right. Instead of, I mean, you can do the same thing with the bar. You can pull off the notes with this finger, but absolutely, you can do it with your thumb as well. Personal preference, personal style, unique style, you develop your own way of doing things. That's all natural. That's all expected, and it's all encouraged when you play guitar. You've got to develop your own style. And that's why when I was learning, I didn't know any of this stuff. So I would just watch someone on YouTube or wherever, and they'd say, do it this way. So I did it that way. And it didn't work for me per se. And, I have trouble doing bar chords. Yes, Cody, absolutely. I'm going to say the majority of the people, overwhelming majority of the people have trouble doing bar chords. And I'm not going to get into it today on this feed, but a lot of times I come on just to reassure people, beginners especially, that you don't need bar chords. You do not need bar chords to play and enjoy your guitar, okay? Yeah, well, look, a SEP, absolutely. Yeah, you're right, but your point, you got a right comment, but the most important part of your comment is classical guitar. This isn't classical guitar playing, right? So again, jazz, you're going to use your diminished chords. Most people that you'll follow or watch here never show you diminished chords, me included, because we don't use them playing pop, rock, country, indie. We don't play diminished chords. So people don't even show you. They just show you the 6 chords in a key. They eliminate the 7th, which in a major chord is a diminished chord. In a minor key, it's the 2nd chord is always diminished. And people don't show you that because we just don't use it. And I'm not about classical or jazz music. So it sounds like you might be on a little different path, but, that's where you want to be, Yeah, there's so many ways. Hi, Graham. How you doing? Good to have you back. I haven't been on a regular basis. I've been more, intermittent over the summer. We'll get a little more regular as the fall kicks into the winter. We'll have regular slots, okay? So, yeah, I mean, look, it's personal preference. My personal preference is to play the bar chord the way I guess we all try to learn it and figure it out, okay? Okay. If you're talking about your bar finger that bends, there's nothing wrong with that. But because, look, remember, the whole idea of the bar is not, and there's this huge confusion over this, it's not to play it flat like this and get all 6 strings. That's not, you don't need to do that. Now, if I was playing this, say I was in an open tuning, all right, so let's say I was in an open G, then this would be my A, my B, my C, and I would just play the strings like that. Then I need to have a full, evenly perfect bar. But remember, again, when we play, let's take this G, for example. Nothing rings out behind these fingers. It's just like here, they're dead. So this bar is useless. So if your finger bends, the only reason you need this bar is to get that note right there, G, right there. That's it. These next three strings are covered by this shape. So nothing is going to ring out back here. Look, there's no note, there's no nothing, there's no pitch. It's just dead, just like this. So you don't need to put a bar flat perfect down there. You just need to get that note right here and these two notes here that we get with our flesh. That's it. So you could play your bar like this with a curl, or you could play it with a bit of a bend. Look at my B minor. Half the time, there's my B minor half the time. Look at the way my finger bends. Right? Everybody has their own style. I see guys, you know, B minors and they're playing it like this kind of thing. If that works for you and you get those notes, okay? And that's what you need to understand. I don't mean this in a bad way that you need to do something, but no, it doesn't, because for the reasons I just showed you. Because once in a bar chord, once these fingers are in place, okay, these are the notes that are going to ring out. Look. If I put a bar here, let's say I put my bar down, it's still going to be the exact same. This bar behind these fingers is doing nothing. But if I want to play this G, then I got to have that bar there. If I don't have that bar here and I put it here, then I'm not going to play this. I can't play this string. Okay? So I'm going to play this G like this. You hear the little ting at the bottom, or at the high end, the bottom of the guitar right here. So I'm getting my G, my root note, from that string instead of this string. Now, again, like we said earlier, I can wrap my thumb around. Now I've got my bass root back if I want it, my bass note, which, as you can tell, I'm not good at that. I get a lot of buzz. Okay? I'm not comfortable. You got to figure it out. You got to maybe lift your elbow a little bit and kind of there. Okay? Then I can move that. See, I just don't like that. But yeah, to answer your question, look, I started noticing this before I knew anything, and I started saying some bar chords, they would show like a black bar. And then, you know, the fingering. And then other bar chord charts would just show a dot here and a dot there. And I'm like, well, what? That doesn't make sense. Well, now it makes sense, right? Because you really only have to get the note here and the notes there. In the middle, like I said again, after your fingers, they're not ringing out anyways. They're dead. Those strings are dead. Okay, so that may help you. So don't worry about the bend. Okay? Once you start learning triads, you can replace all of your bar chords. Now, I'm not saying the shapes are any easier. I'm not saying it's easier to learn. I'm just saying that you can replace certain bar chords. Like, for example, the B major. We can replace that with this. Simple. A B triad. Done. Okay? Some people have trouble with the B minor. I like playing the B minor, but some people have trouble with that. And notice how my finger is bent. Okay? All right, so we can play this instead. There's a B minor. Triad. Okay? C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. Okay? Now the next minor triad shape we can use along those strings is real simple. It's one finger. So we just cover these three strings right here with one finger. That's it. And only play those three strings. Awesome, Cody. Awesome. Keep it simple when you write your song, right? So pick a key. Again, depending on what your skills are, if you want to avoid the bar chords, pick a key like C or G. There's only one bar chord in both of those together combined, and that's in the G key. So that's the first tip, is to keep it simple. And I'm hoping that the C or G key is good for your voice. If so, look at the key you want to be in, let's say G, and use any of those first 6 chords. G, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. Take those 6 chords and work with them. If it's in C, take the 6 chords of C and work with it. And let me know how you do. You can always, when you get something down, you can record it, send it along. I've had people do that. I'd love to hear what you're doing. And that's the whole idea. That's why I started to learn guitar. I wanted to write songs. I had lyrics. I've always been a writer. And I wanted to learn how to play music to put to these, and I just wanted to keep up with my friends that were playing. I just wanted to be able to sit around and play a G, a C, and a D and sound like I knew what I'm doing in between pops, right? And then it just evolved from there. And I just learned more and more and more. But you don't have to. You don't have to learn bar chords. You don't have to learn triads. This is all if you want it. You can have all kinds of fun playing thousands of songs with just open chords. No problem. All right, so let's get back to that minor triad shape. Now, so here, for example, there's just 3 strings with 1 finger. That's all we're doing, and we're only playing those 3 strings. So in this case, if we are on the 5th fret, this particular triad shape, how do we know what we're playing? By the note on the 1st string. Okay? When we played this triad just now, right, we were using, this is the natural minor shape, because the root note, the lowest root note of the 3, 1, 2, 3, is the closest to the top of the guitar. So this is a natural root triad. So we look at this note here, and that gives us a B. So we're playing a B triad. And because these are the minor shape, these are the minor notes of the chord, this is a B minor triad that we can then slide all the way up. D, E, right? A minor. A minor, B minor, C, sharp, D, all the way up. That's your natural root position minor triad over the first 3 strings. So this one, what determines the chord is the 1st string. So in this case, this is an A triad, A minor, okay? B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. Okay? So now we have this as a root triad shape that we can move around. Now we have this one, G minor, A minor, B minor. Okay? Now the 3rd shape is going to be an inverted triad. Why? Because the root note is not the closest to the top of the guitar. It's going to be on my ring finger, okay? So in this case, my ring finger is on a D. Now this shape should look familiar to you. This is a D minor open chord. So if we play these 4 strings, we have a D minor open chord. Well, once we move it up 2, we have an E minor, but we only play the 3 strings that we're fretting. We eliminate that open D, because there's no D note in an E minor. There's no D note, right? There's E, G, and B, right? So the 1st would be E, the 3rd would be a G, and then etc. the 5th, right? So that's the only 3 that we would need. E, G, and a B. That's it. So there's your D minor shape. E minor, F minor, G minor. Now look, here's the G. Remember the G chord? This is a D minor shape played here with this fat finger in the 7th fret here, right? Now, we're just sliding that up and down. But when we play it here, this is the G. Remember when we played the major version of the G? We used the major shape of the D. And here we're using the minor shape of the D to play the minor G. So this would be your G shape, right? And then we turn it into a minor chord by using the D minor. D major shape, D minor shape. And again, we slide that up. So those are your 3 minor shapes. So for those of you looking to replace a B minor, you can do this. Right? Instead of this. And again, it's the same idea. There's my B minor triad. If I take this finger and turn it into a bar, right? Put my pinky back in there to get one of those notes. So there's my 3 notes. I could play it this way. There's a B minor triad. There's an A minor. Slide that up. C. You see what I mean? So is that first shape a C chord or F chord shape that you slid down with? First shape. Okay, hold on a second. Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about this shape here? Is that the shape we're talking about? This shape here? No. Very close. Good eye. This is your F here. Same shape, 1 string up. So the B minor shape would be string 1, 2, and 3. The F triad shape would be strings 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, no gap in between. 3 strings, 3 fingers, 3 frets, 3 notes. So there's your F triad. And that's actually where I was going next. That was the last chord that I was going to show you how to use a triad to replace a very difficult bar chord, F major. So there's your F. You kind of beat me to it, right? So, yeah, so there's your F. So you play this F to replace this. Now, just like this here is a derivative to that there, okay? This here is a derivative to that there. So there's your F major bar chord. So all we're doing is we're taking the bar away, and we're gonna, now there's 2 ways we can do this. We're gonna just curl up and take that C note, because remember, we're looking for the notes F, A, C. The 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th, okay? So F to G is 1. We don't need that second one, which is G. And then G to A, so F, A. And then A to B, we don't need the B. We need the 5th, which is the C sharp, right? Or C in this case. C sharp in a major chord. So there's our F triad. Now, some people bar these 2, no problem, because remember, it all goes back to 3 notes. So let's look at the full F bar chord. What are we playing, really? We're playing F. Now again, these 3 notes here over the next 3 strings are dead. That bar is doing no good. There's nothing ringing out because these are covering it. These notes are going to ring out. So all we're doing with the bar chord is we're taking that low F, which gives it its it's deep, rich sound. That's kind of what we want when we go to the F bar chord. We want that, right? Okay. But anyways, if we take that away, we're playing that F, okay? Sorry, the next note would be coming from this finger. And what note is that? Well, that's your C. So we got an F and we got a C. Then we got this pinky is playing on the 4th string. And what note is it playing? Another F. Then we got this finger playing on the 3rd string. And what's it playing? An A. You see where I'm going with this? Then the bottom of this flesh is playing the C and the F. So of all these strings and all this fancy fingering, we're doing all this to play 3 notes. F, A, and C. That's it. So if we take this away, right? What do we got? And we only play these 3 strings. What do we got? Right there. What do we got? Well, we got C, F, and you guessed it, A. A, F, C. Now, because this C is the closest to me, it's not a root triad, it's an inverted triad. But that's an F triad. So you could play your F chord this way, without the bar, only strumming those 3 notes. Okay? Let's put the bar back so we can, again, take it away. So we'll take it away, and we'll just play these 2 strings right here, like a mini bar. There is an F bar chord. What notes are we playing? C, F, A, F, C. Nothing else. Okay? We're not playing this string because that would be an E. And we don't need an E. So we got to avoid this string. Right? You can mute it with your thumb if your strumming isn't, okay? But there's your F. Now we can take that shape and move it up. G. A. So essentially we're playing bar chords without the bar. And all we're missing is that lowest note, which some people want. Right? So what I do for the F, I keep it simple. There's my F bar chord, right? I take away this, I put it here, and I just play those 3 notes right there. So really, it's like a C. So I just leave this, so I can go C, F. I leave this finger on the same note for the C, and I just move these 2 fingers down 1 string. I got an F. C, G. F, C, G. F, C, G, 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 F. That's how I play my F. And to me, especially if I'm singing, I don't want to be playing around with bar chords. I don't want to risk a clunk or whatever. So there you go. There's a quick, easy triads. The triads are not difficult, but they are, because we learn them after we've learned our open chords. We get used to playing open chords and all that stuff. And now all of a sudden, we got to learn new shapes. So it's going to be a little difficult at first, but eventually it's real easy. And we also have to know some theory. So for beginners, look, you don't know your fretboard. You don't know where the notes are. So I always tell beginners, like in your first year of playing, just casually start understanding what a root note is. Every chord is built off of the root note. So if you're playing a C, just make a quick reference when you're practicing strumming C to D. Where's my root note? Well, my root note is here, C. Oh, and it's got one here, that's a C. I got 2 root notes in this chord, awesome. So now I know those are my root notes. You may never need it, but you know. When I go to the D, where's my root notes? Well, in this case, I'm playing the open D, and then these 3 strings behind it, right? All 4 strings, but I start with the open D, so there's a root note. Then I have a root note here with my ring finger, that's a D, okay? So now I know when I get a little better and I want to start improvising, I'm going to do it off the root note. You always want to do it off the root note. I mean, you don't have to, but that's your general rule. So now I know, and here's another little tip. Almost all your open chords, you'll have a root note on your ring finger. Okay, so let's look at the one exception. So here's A. Now, in this case, my fat finger is on the root note of A, and then I have an open A up here. We don't consider B an open chord. So on C, my root note is here on my ring finger, C. So if I'm playing on C and I want to do a little thing, I can go. In D, I got a root on my ring finger, right? In E, I got a root right here on my ring finger. Right? If I'm playing an F this way, my root note is on my ring finger. And if I play a G, if I play it this way, my ring finger is on the highest root note. Okay? And if I play it this way, my pinky is on the highest root, and this finger, my ring finger, is on the lowest root. Right? If we play an A minor, ring finger on the A. If I play an E minor this way, my ring finger is on the E. See? So when you're playing and you're not thinking about it, and you're playing in a D and you want to do something, you know that you got a root note right there to play around with. And that really helps. Okay? Well, yeah, Chance. Look, I mean, they are, yes, they're complicated. And look, but they don't have to be. And you'll find the more you know about your fretboard and the more you learn your fretboard, you'll find, because triads rely on, you need to know your notes. You need to know your theory. So, for example, if I'm playing somewhere and I want to know where a C triad is, the first thing I need to know is what are the notes of a C triad or a C chord? C, E, and G. So now I got to look somewhere on the fretboard where I can play those three notes over three strings in the same area. It's almost like doing a puzzle, right? So I know if I have a C here, what other note do I need? I need an E. Oh, okay, so I have an E here, right under it. But I also have an open E if I might need that too with sometimes. So here I have C and E. Now what do I need? I need a G. So where's my nearest G? Well, I have a G here. So I could I play G? Is that a C? That's a C, and that's an E. So there's a triad right there. Just barring those three. But there's a triad here. C, E, right? And there's my G. So there's another triad shape there, right? But that doesn't work because, why? Because I have an open string B in the middle, and I can't do that. So I got to find my G somewhere else. So that would be the triad. And that's because you know your fretboard. And you can start putting these little triads together. And of course, if that's a G triad or a C triad, this would be a D triad. Right? So that's how it all works. And it is easy once you know, but I didn't catch the root note thing when you started doing the arpeggio. Okay. They are yes, they are complicated until you understand them. And then you look and go, oh my God, it's so easy. It's only three notes, the first, the third, and the fifth. And they only exist in that area on certain parts of the guitar. So once you get that shape that shows you those three notes, you just move that all the way down that string set. Didn't catch the root note thing when you started doing the arpeggio. Please explain. Hi, Mr. Titan. I don't play covers here because it's going to block it out on the video. It's going to make me delete it because I'll get a copyright strike. I do come on and play covers, but only when I don't want to keep the video. This I want to keep up there, so I don't play covers. Sorry, not right now anyways. Maybe later today. I might come on later tonight and just play some songs. I sometimes come on and play my own songs, a few cover songs, things like that. So sorry about that. The root thing, when you started doing the arpeggio, I have an Instagram. It is called Play with RAYRAY, but I don't use it. I'd never had any luck on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as Play with RAYRAY. Oh, using the standard D chord. Okay. All right, so let me just see what you're... Okay, so this shape here is a major triad shape along the first 3 strings, okay? And this would be known as... This would be known as an inverted triad. Why? Because the root note, this is a G chord. For it to be a proper root-based, like a root, what they call like the root triad, the root note, the lowest root note, has to be the closest finger, the closest note to me, to the top of the guitar, okay? So, in this case, we're getting this G is coming from the ring finger, G, the middle note there. So this is called an inverted triad, okay? So any triad you play with this shape is going to be an inverted triad. So G, so this is an A. So if we look at the 3 notes that we're fretting, we have E, we have an A, and we have a D flat or a C sharp. That's your A major, right? So if we play our A major here, we have an A, a C sharp, and an E. So here, when we play the A, we have the same notes. We have an A, we have an E, and we have a C sharp. So is that the way, is that what you were asking? So anytime you use a D shape, again, you only play the 3 strings, and the root will be on your ring finger. So wherever your ring finger lands, so in this case I land here, okay? What's that note? So we have a D, we have an E, this is an F sharp. So here's an F sharp triad, okay? Now, generally, oh, okay. Okay, then picking other notes like, okay, so if you're talking about, is this what you're talking about? If that's what you're wondering about, then all I'm doing is, yes, I'm arpeggiating only the notes that I'm fretting in any order. I'm not taking notes from here or here. I'm only taking notes from the 3 strings in any order. So if I move up here for a G, I can pick those notes in any order and they'll sound fine. It's whatever I need, whatever I want it to sound like, right? Hey, okay, Damascus, every little bit helps. Thank you so much. Yeah, so all I was doing is I was, as you say, arpeggiating the notes of the triad. So remember, when we arpeggiate, we can arpeggiate notes of a bar chord. It's a good way to test that you're ringing, that you're fretting all your notes properly, that they ring out. Or what I like to do is I like to arpeggiate the notes. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I was giving you an example. Okay, I get it now what you were asking. I was just giving you an example. Normally, when you want to play a little, we'll call it a little diddly-do, a little fill, a little riff, a little run, or whatever it is you want to do, you got to start somewhere, right? Normally, you would start, you don't have to, you would start on the root note of the chord that you want to play off of. So in this case, if I'm playing a D chord, where's my root note here? My root note, I have two of them. It's on the ring finger, and it's the open D. So if I was playing something off this D and I wanted to do a little thing, then I could go open D, right? Fretted D. Or I could go off my ring finger. So in this case, specifically what I did was I played my D chord, then on the rest, I identified my root, there's my D, okay? And I just did a little, then I turned that into a 4-note box. Then I played that open B to get to the D. Now that's just the way, you could do it anyway, you could play any riff. So the point of that was to show you that for the most part, if you're going to play off the C, the best thing is to play off one of the roots. Something like that, right? You got addicted to chess. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's right, Scott. Yeah, that's just one way of doing it. I mean, you could, look. It's great exercise. So if you did that for all your chords, so for example, if you're playing a G and you play your G this way, you could do either off that bottom chord, which is off the G, and then go back to your G, or you could do a little. It's kind of why I like to play my G this way with my back three fingers, because then I got that continuity off the ring finger, right? Just like I do here. Just like I do here. I haven't done that for a while. It takes a bit of practice, but yeah. So all you got to do is play off your root note. So if you're playing an A, for example, G, C, oh, D, E, right? Takes a little bit. It's great practice. It really helps sharpen up your symmetry between the left and the right hand when it comes to picking individual notes. So it's a great, you might not always get the best music out of it, but after a while, you'd be surprised that you can really make these little riffs. I came up with one for a beginning of a song. How did I do that? Oh, I did, how did I do it? I went. I messed it up. But you see what I mean, right? You can play around and you could have all kinds of fun with it, right? These are 13s. These are mediums, elixir mediums. and it's a Taylor 416 guitar. I started using mediums a while ago. They're a little harder on your fingers, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know. I kind of like, it's kind of like a deeper sound. Okay. I mean, I've used medium lights, and on a smaller Taylor, I have a 300 series Taylor, and it is light strength. So, but yeah, I use medium. So, all right. So today, hopefully, we learned a little something. Now, this isn't pure beginner stuff. I understand that. Normally, I talk about beginner stuff, but when I do talk about more advanced stuff, because we're all going to get there one day. And the beauty of learning the guitar is you don't need any theory. So for the first year, don't even worry about theory and bar chords and all that kind of stuff. Don't even worry. You don't need it, okay? If you find yourself after 6 or 7 months, you've developed a good guitar foundation and your mind is thirsting and you know you want more, then it's there for you. And I will explain things like triads and bar chords as easy as possible. Because, to be honest with you, the biggest hurdle when I tried to learn, I learned 3 times, taught myself to play guitar. The first 2 times, about a year, and I quit both times. And the third time, I realized I don't need, there's things I just don't need. Thanks, Scott. There's things I just don't need. I don't need to learn all this fancy stuff. It's hard. It's painful. Look, there's an old adage that says, if you want to master your craft, you got to spend 10,000 hours. So if you're going to be a carpenter, electrician, a mechanic, a hairstylist, whatever, there's that thing that you got 10,000 hours to really master your craft. Well, if you put that in guitar perspective, and they tell us to play 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day, well, that's about 150 hours a year. I need 10,000 hours. Come on, I don't have that much time left. If I play 2 hours a day, it's still going to take me 5 years to get that 10,000 hours, right? So I don't need, okay, I'm never going to be in a position, as most of you aren't, that I'm going to be on a stage somewhere with thousands of people watching me, and the singer, the prima donna that they are, is going to turn around to the band and say, hey, boys, I can't do this song in C tonight. I got to drop it to D, or drop it to B, or up it to D. And you got to, on the fly, know that you got to change all your chords and know what they are, and blah, blah, blah. Then you need to know all this stuff. You need to know your bar chords and your triads, and you need to know all your theory, and you need to know your scales, and you need to know the modes of the scales, and how to properly implement the modes of a scale, and on and on. You need to know all your positions, and you need to know all your scales. You need to know, there's so many things you need to know to be a professional guitarist, but we don't need that. Right? That's like saying, I want to learn how to play golf, right? So I go out to the driving range, I hit a bucket of balls every night for 2 weeks. I go play a round of golf. I'm ready to play Tiger Woods. Let's go, I'm a golfer now. No, you're not. But can you go out with the boys at the office or the girls from the club and play golf and have fun and do as good as you possibly can and feel good about yourself? Absolutely. And that's what we're all about here. That's what I'm all about, okay? When I started this, okay, so when I came back and actually learnt the guitar, which is the way I talk about now and what I show on my channel through the videos, and what I preach all the time, is keep it simple. You don't need all this fancy stuff to do what you want to do with your guitar, which is play songs and have fun, okay? If you want to be a pro, then you better be young, because you got 10,000 hours ahead of you to get it all together. And you shouldn't be hanging around me, because I'm all about getting people that don't play guitar to play as quick as possible. I have one of my live students, we're about 6 weeks in, and he has a bit of a handicap in that he has no feeling or movement in these 2 fingers. So what we've had to do is we've got to come across with 2-finger chords. So we've had to come off, with a 2-finger A, a 2-finger A minor, a 2-finger E, a 2-finger, which is fine. It is a E minor is 2-finger, a 2-finger D, and etc. I had to be a little bit improvising, but most importantly, after only less than 2 months, he's already strumming a good chord progression and getting ready to play his first song. And that is really good, okay? But the reason, it's nothing to do with me. The reason is because that person plays 2 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning and another hour at night. And they just sit there and sharpen these skills, the left hand and the right hand. And once you get that out of the way, that you can not even think about it, and you're playing chords and you're strumming them and you sound smooth and soft on the strings, man, you can do anything. Anything. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Scott. And once you get your fingers conditioned so they don't hurt as much, you get the calluses, and you just go with it. And look, if someone had said to me, "Oh, Ray, you want to learn guitar?" Okay, I just want to let you know that you're going to be shit for 5 years. And then 5 years after that, you're going to start getting a little bit better. I would have said, "You know what? Thank you very much, but I got better things to do with the next 5 to 10 years. Okay? I'll learn something else." Because you don't notice it, right? Because you're having fun. So the first boot camp, the first 6, 8 weeks, it's miserable. It's horrible. Your fingers sore. You sound like shit. And you just start thinking, what am I getting myself into? If you can get by that by keeping it slow and controlled, and don't take on all these things that I did. I'd been playing 3 months, barely playing 3 chords. Oh, I got to learn bar chords because that's the secret. That's what they told me. If I play bar chords, I can play guitar in 30 minutes. I can play anything. No, bullshit. But I fell for it. So I spent 6 months hammering out bar chords, never got them, always frustrating. And I quit because your brain says, "Hey, bud, leave the guitar alone today. You sound like shit, and I don't want to hear you. So please leave the guitar and come back another day." And that became 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, a year, and now I've quit. I'm done. The guitar is now an ornament. And that happened to me twice, and I know it's happened to people out there. And it's because, again, the golf analogy. If I want to learn to play golf, the only thing I need to learn is I need to be able to hit that ball straight. The distance will come, but I got to hit it straight, okay, if I want a chance. So my only goal in practice is to hit the ball so that it goes straight. Well, in guitar, the analogy would be, or the equivalent would be, I got to learn how to play my open chord, how to strum it right. Then I got to learn how to play a second chord with it. That's it. Okay? Now, in golf, am I going to go out, before I can hit the ball consistently proper, am I going to want to learn, or should I learn how to bend it around a tree? No, that's for people that have hit 10,000 golf balls. And now they want to go to another level, and they want to slice or hook it around an object. Of course, that's part of the game at that level. But as a beginner, that's the last thing you need. So as a beginning guitar player, the last thing you need is to play an A major 7 bar chord. You don't need it. Play it here. Here's your A major 7 right here. You don't need it. Yeah, same with me, Scott. I started at 50. And always something I wanted to do. And I only did it because all my friends were playing, and I wanted to kind of join in when I could. And I just thought it would be nice to play some of my favorite songs from childhood. And if I stopped there, I'd be more than happy, because for the rest of my life, I could play 3 chords, campfire songs. Hey, Ray plays guitar. Here's a guitar. Play us something. And I could play some songs, basic versions of songs. No problem. And if you just want to do that, this is the way to go. But then something happened, and I want to take it further. How much further? How much better can I get? Can I write songs? Can I play this song? Can I play that song? And it just keeps going. And the next thing you know, you look back and you've been at it 5 years and you're getting pretty good. But then there's that poor person that doesn't know any better and thinks they got to know everything there is. And they're afraid to be ridiculed by these pain-in-the-ass guitar snobs that will watch you and then criticize you, because I had one a few weeks ago. I was showing triads. Oh, look, what a wanker. He's only playing root triads. In other words, this guy is a self-admitted guitar snob and is criticizing me because I'm not playing inverted triads. I'm only playing root position. You see what I mean? That stuff is just, you don't need any of that garbage. Okay? You will develop your own style. So you're going to end up playing things that others don't, and vice versa. And you're going to end up playing your chords a certain way that others don't. And you're going to end up, using techniques that others don't, and not using techniques that others do, and not playing chords that others do. It doesn't matter. It's what you want. It's how you want to play, and it's the music you want to play, right? All I do is say, look, if you're a beginner, listen to me for once. I'm not saying you got to do this. No, this is what I did to get me playing good guitar within months, not years. Getting to writing my own songs after, 6 months of figuring it out. But what I did the first couple of times is I tried to learn all these things that I had no business learning because I physically wasn't able to. I didn't understand the theory, so I didn't know, like even bar chords. You got to know your notes on this string and this string. Got to know them because that determines what you're playing as a bar chord and what shape to use in front of the bar. So if I'm playing off of this 5th string, then my minor chords are going to look like this, right? And my major chords are going to look like that. Or maybe you play them with the 2 fingers. I have to know this. And as a beginner, man, that was just one extra thing I had to think about. And I'll leave you with this. Learning and playing the guitar. You actually will not get better until you are 100% comfortable. And that breeds confidence. So when you can dance like no one's watching with your guitar, you're on your way. Until then, what's happening? Well, you're thinking about everything you're doing. So the more you're doing and the harder the level of technique that you're doing, the more your brain is, like I see people, me included, right, playing their open chords like this. Watch. And man, their knuckles are white and they're sweat and their hands are clammy and they're just trying to be so perfectly robotic. And what you don't understand, because you can't see it when you watch all these videos, that the people aren't always perfect. Some people don't strum all the strings in the chord that they're supposed to by the book. But you don't know that, right? You're so focused, all your brain power is on making sure everything is book perfect. And while that's great and dandy, it's going to set you back. Just play your guitar. I say that after all of my videos, and there's a reason. Just play it. Let your fingers in your hands figure it out. Just get to that point like the juggler. 2 balls. Put a 3rd ball up, drops everything. Let's try that again. Got to throw it higher. Got to be faster. Got to be a heavier ball, a lighter ball. All those things come into play. The same with when you're learning guitar, right? It's all about touch, feel, intuition, being comfortable. stress-free. Like you shouldn't be grabbing your guitar. You shouldn't be fretting so hard that it feels like you're pushing the wire into the wood. That shouldn't be happening. You should be just nice and easy and controlled. A lot of issues people have is that because if you're not fretting a proper chord, you think if I play faster and harder, you won't notice that I screwed up the chord. But really all that does is just make it worse, right? So again, you will not be a fluid, confident, comfortable, smooth guitar player until you can play like no one's watching, right? I have a student like that. Shows up, practices all week, shows up, and all of a sudden, because I'm watching, everything gets tight, and everything he does, he goes, oh, sorry, you should have seen me last night playing this. Oh, you should have seen me this morning playing this. Oh, I was... Why do you think that is? It's because I'm not watching you. Nobody's watching you, and you can just play like no one's watching. When you get to the point where you can do that all the time, man, you're in. There's nothing you won't be able to learn on the guitar. If someone says, hey, we're going to learn how to play, these triads here. Oh, okay, show them to me. And because you have a guitar foundation, you have smoothness, you have confidence, you're just oozing with it, right? Because of that, you can listen to someone like me or whoever, and they show you something once, and next thing you know, you're playing it. Might take half hour, an hour, might take overnight. You want to learn bar chords? Okay, no problem. Show me the shapes. What do I got to do? Let me figure it out. Oh yeah, it'll be rough at first. Okay, I'll get it. An hour later, you're playing. Overnight, the next day, piece of cake. What's next? There's no more learning frustration once you develop your guitar foundation. And that's simply left hand, right hand, ear and brain, constantly playing. The juggler, right? Those guys, they're at 4 and 5 balls. They got it down. They can add as many balls as they want, and they've got it down. But if they did that too quick, they'd be all over the floor because they haven't developed the foundation to sustain what they're doing. You need to develop a guitar foundation. All right? All right, so yeah, 5 weeks, sure, that's fine. 4, 5, 6 weeks. Me, it was a few months, and I never really got it, but, yeah, that's right. It does come, all right? And that's the reality. So someone also asked about scheduling. I'm sorry I got carried away there. Scheduling when I'm live. Yeah, on YouTube, starting, it will be next month. There will be 2 minimum planned scheduled shows per week, and that's like clockwork. And then I'll still come on once in a while around that. And one show is usually beginners only. I mean, everybody's welcome, but we talk about real beginner stuff. And then the next show is for people that have been playing up to a year, and we start talking about bar chords and triads and theory and things like that. But that's really, where I'm at. I also do live shows on TikTok. I do personal lessons, which there'll be much more information coming up as we get it all together. So, all right. Well, we'll see you soon. And remember, don't get overwhelmed. It's going to come, but you got to be patient and just put in your time. All right. So we'll see you later, right? Bye for now. And check out the channel. If you think I can help you or you just want to say thank you, please hit the subscribe. It does sort of matter. It sort of shows YouTube that I might be a somebody when, well, we all know I'm a nobody, but you know what I mean? It definitely helps. It doesn't cost anything. Just hit the subscribe. That would be so appreciated. And we'll see you again soon, okay? Bye for now. No, just practice. Looking up chord, just practice. Just there's no shortcut for that. You just have to do it over and over again. Nice. All right, guys. See you later. Bye, Barb. Bye, Terry. Thank you, Damascus. Hope to see you again. Good luck in your journey, all right? See you guys later.